The nurse still remembered the smell of iron that night. Blood has a way of announcing itself before you see it. Thick, metallic, heavy in the air. When the gurney burst through the emergency doors at 2:17 a.m., every conversation in the trauma wing died instantly. The man on the table barely looked alive. His body was riddled with bullet wounds, so many that Emily Carter's brain refused to count them at first. Chest, abdomen, shoulder, thighs, side, lower back. His tactical vest had been cut away, his skin torn and burned where metal had entered and exited, sometimes shattering inside him. Blood soaked the sheets, pooled onto the floor, smeared the hands of everyone who touched him. 40 bullet wounds. Someone whispered it like a prayer. Someone else like a curse. Emily caught sight of the dog tags before they disappeared beneath the blood-soaked gown. Navy SEAL. The letters were almost erased by red, but she saw them clearly. She didn't freeze. She didn't gasp. She didn't ask questions. She moved. Get suction ready. 2 lines, wide bore. BP's dropping, 70 systolic. Page trauma surgery now. Her hands worked on instinct, muscle memory built from years of chaos and loss. She cut away what remained of his clothing, pressed gauze against a wound that wouldn't stop bleeding, shouted vitals to the room. The man's eyes fluttered open for half a second. Gray. Focused. A soldier's eyes. Then they closed again. The attending surgeon, Dr. Whitaker, arrived and stopped short when he saw the injuries. Jesus, he muttered. This isn't standard gunfire. Emily noticed it too. The entry wounds were jagged. Some bullets had splintered, fragmenting into dozens of razor-sharp pieces that lodged deep inside muscle and organs. These aren't clean rounds, she said. They're tearing him apart from the inside. Whitaker swallowed. We can't remove all of them. Emily looked at him sharply. If we don't, infection will kill him. Or internal bleeding. We'll prioritize, he said, already backing away emotionally. We stabilize. That's it. The words hung heavy in the air. Stabilize meant accept survival odds. It meant choosing which damage mattered and which didn't. It meant leaving metal inside a living body and hoping it didn't turn lethal later. Emily had seen this before. She had also seen what happened when nurses and doctors followed rules instead of judgment. The surgery began. Hours blurred together. Incisions, clamps, suction, alarms screaming as his vitals dipped and surged. Emily stood beside the table, assisting, handing instruments, monitoring blood loss. Then it happened. One of the surgeons shook his head. We're losing time. We need to close. Now. There are still fragments, Emily said, pointing at the imaging screen. Dozens. In the abdomen alone. We can't keep digging, another surgeon snapped. He won't survive another hour under anesthesia. Emily's chest tightened. She looked at the man on the table. His chest rose weakly. His heart still fought. If they closed him now, he might survive the night, but die days later from sepsis. Or lose organs. Or never walk again. She knew it. And she knew something else. She was the only one in the room who had trained in battlefield trauma removal techniques. She had volunteered overseas years earlier, assisting medics in war zones where, good enough, wasn't enough. Emily spoke quietly. Give me 10 minutes. The room went silent. Whitaker turned to her slowly. This isn't your call. I know, she said. But I can do it. You're a nurse. I'm a nurse who knows how to remove shrapnel without destabilizing tissue. Another alarm screamed as the man's blood pressure dipped again. Whitaker hesitated. 10 seconds. Maybe 15. Finally, he exhaled. 10 minutes. That's all. Emily didn't waste a second. She worked with a precision that felt almost unreal. Fingers steady, eyes locked in, pulling fragment after fragment, sometimes millimeters from arteries, sometimes buried deep enough that one wrong move would be fatal. Her gloves were slick with blood. Her arms ached. Time disappeared. She didn't hear the clock. Didn't hear the murmured doubts around her. She only saw the wounds and the way his body responded, how his vitals stabilized as the metal came out, how his bleeding slowed. When she finally stepped back, her hands trembled. Whitaker stared at the tray beside her. Dozens of bloodied fragments lay there. 40. Every single bullet wound had been cleared. They closed him carefully. By the time the man was wheeled into ICU, dawn was creeping through the hospital windows. Emily sank against a wall, exhausted, her scrub stiff with dried blood. She didn't feel heroic. She felt afraid. Because she knew what she had done. And she knew the hospital administration wouldn't see it as saving a life. They would see it as insubordination. She was right. By noon, she was called into an office. Human resources. Legal. Administration. 3 people sat across from her with printed reports and tight smiles. You exceeded your scope of authority, the administrator said calmly. You ignored direct instruction. I saved his life, Emily replied. That is not for you to decide. She felt something cold settle in her stomach. You put the hospital at legal risk, another voice added. If that patient had died during your unauthorized intervention. But he didn't, Emily said. He's stable. Silence. Then the words she had known were coming. Effective immediately, your employment is terminated. No shouting. No drama. Just a signature. A badge turned in. A locker cleared. Emily walked out of the hospital she had given 8 years of her life to with a cardboard box in her arms and a knot in her throat. She didn't cry. Not in the parking lot. Not in her car. Not even when she reached her small apartment and set the box down on the floor. She told herself she would cry later. She showered, scrubbing blood from her skin that felt like it would never come off. She replayed the night again and again, wondering if she could have done anything differently. Her phone buzzed. A voicemail notification. Unknown number. She ignored it. She slept for 3 hours, the kind of sleep that feels more like collapse than rest. When she woke, the voicemail icon was still there. She pressed play. Emily Carter, a calm male voice said. This is Commander James Hale, United States Navy. I'm calling regarding your actions last night. Please return my call immediately. Her heart stopped. She called back with shaking fingers. He answered on the first ring. Nurse Carter, he said. You removed 40 bullet fragments from a Tier 1 operator who was not expected to survive the night. Emily swallowed. Yes, sir. He's awake. Her breath caught. He asked for you by name, Hale continued. He said you didn't just save his life. You saved his future. Emily sank onto the edge of the bed. I heard you were fired, Hale said, his voice hardening. That will be addressed. She didn't know what to say. Be available, he added. Your life is about to change. The call ended. Emily stared at the phone in her hand, heart pounding, unaware that within the next 24 hours, everything she thought she knew about justice, sacrifice, and consequence was about to be rewritten completely.